Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hello, gorgeous beings, and welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy. I am Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener, and we have my amazing co-host, Jeff, our Freedom Jedi, or JP Adkins. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, my friends. Hey, Heather. It's so nice to see you today. How are you?
It's so nice to be seen. I have to steal that from Jeff because he says that all the time. It's so nice to see you. It's so nice to be seen. And now we have no Jeff. Jeff is frozen. So we're on episode 18. This is your Inner Critic Smackdown, reclaiming your self-love with the heart chakra. We are going to talk about the heart chakra today. All of our
Yay! If I could stay on.
divine souls listening to us right now. Yay, Jeff's kind of back for a second. Let's see. Now we lost Jeff altogether. As you know, Jeff travels. He is a nomad and he lives in his RV. And so it's always fun technologically wise.
You never know if it's going to work or not. Here, I've had good internet until I push go live. We were talking just fine until I pushed live.
That is true.
So I'm going to see if...
Too funny.
I log in on... You know, so I'm trying this whole doing it on my phone so that I'm actually on the device.
So let's see if we can get this going. I'm going to warn you guys right now. We are trigger warning. We talk about everything: sex, drugs, rock and roll, sexual assault, anything you can think of. And so if you are easily offended and you don't like the word fuck, then you should probably stop listening right now because you never know what's going to come out of our mouth.
Today, yeah. Fuck might very well come out of my mouth today.
Well, yeah, fuck's my favorite word.
You know, it's so versatile.
It is. It is. That's why I always think it's really hilarious when a small child uses the word fuck, even though, you know, I know they probably shouldn't say that or whatever, but when they use it in the right context, like, I think it's fantastic. Because, like, how do you get mad when they're using it properly? At least they're using it properly.
Is there a wrong context to use fuck? You know.
No, and actually, I've had a request to start another fucking affirmations again.
Yay!
Yeah, so
those are always fun.
Those I'm gonna start those. I think I'm gonna wait until I move to Florida to do that, though. I'm leaving in 3 weeks, so I'm not trying to like add
3
anything.
weeks.
I know, 3 weeks. Yeah,
that's so amazing.
23 days, huh?
That's so amazing. You're leaving the day. Basically, the day I get back to Michigan from Chicago, I think it's the day you leave.
I leave the 19th.
The 17th? Oh, no. Okay.
No,
I get back the 17th.
Yeah, I leave Vegas.
I'm so excited
Vegas
for you.
Breaking up again. That's what I keep saying. Vegas and I are breaking up again. I'm off to Florida to see new things.
It'll be such an adventure. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I am in Peoria. I'm back in Peoria for a nice week. I've left New Orleans, which was an adventure. That's how I'm going to put that. And I got to stay in a couple of really beautiful places. One in Mississippi and then one in Missouri. Guys, if you look at my feeds, any of them, I have some shorts from those places. You're going to be like, oh my goodness. And they were both free campgrounds. So
Yeah, so for all those
Just
people who are looking for free campgrounds, like they're out there. These were
they're
both
out
on the
there.
Mississippi too, right? Were they both on the Mississippi?
The one in Mississippi, funny enough, was not on the Mississippi. It was I was on a man-made lake, and for the life of me, it's not coming to me. I'm thinking of the one that's just north of it,
That's
which
okay.
looks identical. Sardis is what I'm thinking of, but it's not. It wasn't Sardis. It was the other one. And it was just a really nice time. I mean, a really good, peaceful, exactly
I'm
what I
trying to
needed
call
after.
Jeff out on this though, because in both of those places that were so beautiful that he's talking about, he wanted to rush to get out of there. So he like pulled in there late. He'd wake up in the morning and he'd go, "Oh, look at my beautiful view," and then I'm gonna leave. And then he sat there for a
Yeah.
little while and he's like, "Oh wait, I can stay another day and enjoy this beautiful view." And I was like, "Yes, that's the whole point in traveling and being able to do that is that's the whole point in it, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
to take a moment and appreciate the beauty that's around you."
Well, I think that it's part of that was because on the way there, I was on a deadline. I had reservations, I had things, and I was like, and then while I was in New Orleans, um, for those of you that don't know, New Orleans was kind of a shit show for me. Um, I got to learn a whole bunch. You know, that's the nice answer of it. But really, like things kept breaking down. I got a heat rash over 80% of my body. I got attacked by fire ants like literally 15 minutes after I got there. Like my tires blew. Like there was so many things that happened on that trip that I was just like, just get home, go home, and this is a home for me. So this is one of my homes. So home bases, and so part of that is that like just I need to get back home. I need to be safe.
Oh, there's
but
the
then I
word.
was realizing,
There's the word. There's the truth. There is that
right?
it's scary to be out there doing things where you don't have a security blanket close
Mm-hmm.
to you, right? And so when you're
Yeah.
doing what you're doing, like you don't have a security blanket, you don't have like, and just to put it out there, like you know, not to put all your shit out there, but you're also doing this on limited budget. Like it's not like you
Mm-hmm.
have 20 grand stashed in the bank that you're like, I'm gonna go make a trip around the United States and you
Yeah.
know,
No, I'm doing this. I'm just like
right,
you
you're
guys.
working
I
to be
work.
able to go do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I work. I go. You know, I'm working like crazy. I do content. You guys are seeing a lot more content from me, and you will see a lot more content from me. Actually, I have an announcement tonight that I'm throwing out tonight. So you guys are excited. You guys get to be the first people to hear about something brand new that's happening. And so it's been really interesting. It'll be interesting to be back in Michigan. I probably will be there for about a month, at least. And my goal is to be there only a month.
Right. So how
But
many things does that bring up for you? Right. Yeah, we could do a whole show about
I could do a
that.
whole podcast. Yeah, I could do a whole podcast about being the triggers of of just going back to Michigan. My dad's in the hospital again. I'm getting really bad vibes this time though. I'm not getting the everything's okay. I'm getting the I really need to talk to my mom. Make sure that everything is okay. There's a reason I'm going home, kind of thing. Like it was planned. This has all been planned for a while, but it feels really weird. So the other option was to stay here and then go to Chicago and then come back here, but honestly, the transportation from here to Chicago is worse than the transportation from Detroit to Chicago.
Okay.
Although I'm technically closer to Chicago here.
Right.
So it's just, the questions, the things,
Yeah.
how to deal.
Let's get into the
But
heart chakra.
we're in the heart chakra today.
Heart
And
chakra. Anahata. Anahata.
Anahata. Oh,
The Anahata. This is our
it's been
bridge. It's
interesting.
exactly where you think it would be, right? It's the heart, but it's the bridge. I like to call it the bridge. It is. It's the bridge chakra because I feel like this is like the biggest one. I know it's not, but it feels like it in your body that this is kind of the biggest one because it's in charge of our heart and our lungs and our circulation and our bottom three are super close together and our top three are super close together. And then we have this heart chakra that is, it makes them come together.
Yeah. And when your heart chakra is open, you feel expansive. It feels, you can tell the difference between a closed and physically it feels better
Yeah.
when it's open. I have found. I've also found it brings up all kinds of woo, woo. This is the chakra we're in this month, guys. So we, as you guys all know, I've been doing chakra month on this journey and working very intensely in it. And this one has brought up a whole bunch of things, especially recently, because your worthiness falls in here, and your love and your appreciation and your feelings of community come from here. And
Yeah, unity is part of
so,
this for sure. This is kind of our connection to other people, right? We talk about what they all mean, and this one definitely is connection to other unity, our community unity. It's also about forgiveness. We talk forgiveness is brought up a lot, where it's like, well, I'm never forgiving that person. I'm just going to use that as an example of, so and so did me wrong and I'm never going to forgive them. Really, the hardest person to forgive is yourself, because you have to do the work to forgive the version of you that allowed that to happen in some way. And don't come at me, people. It is two-sided, and not that abuse is okay. I will never say that, but the victim of that abuse is getting something out of it as well.
they got into a space where that abuse could happen.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about children,
Right.
Again,
Right.
but, they're, because they don't know the options that are available. But typically, as adults, as,
Yeah.
Even teens, once you start having a little bit more autonomy,
Yeah.
and this is not victim blaming
No.
in any way, shape,
No, that's what I don't want
or
anyone to
fashion.
do that in
Yeah.
any way. But there is something that happened to you in your life to where you were open to that situation in some way. And can I just like, of course, abuse does not just start with one day he wakes up or she wakes up and hits you, because I know that it could go both ways.
Right.
Like, it's a long drawn out process of getting you away from your family and getting you away from your friends and isolation, and then there's comments. You and I just talked about this. I had a moment this week where I was triggered and I used that term. I don't use that term very often because I think it's a term that's overused a lot. But I was with a narcissist, and many, many years ago, and he sexually abused my child. And when I found out, trust me, he went to prison. He's, he's registered for the rest of his life. So I did all of those things, but the other day I was still friends with his stepmom and his sister on social media. They were both very much supportive on my side through the whole process. And his stepmom posted a picture of a baby and said, "Look at my new grandson." There was no name, no nothing, just, "Look, we have a new grandson." And it literally turned my stomach. And I started, and I went back and unfriended her. Like, I opened up the comments and I started to get curious, like, and then I dropped out of it and I started to scroll and I was like, no. And I went back and I actually unfriended her. And then the next day I went and unfriended his sister because it brought up just so much stuff. And in that moment, I thought about how abusive the relationship with him really was, even on my side. And though it was not physical, he isolated me from his friends for a long time. And then he started letting me around his friends, but he didn't want to do anything with my friends. He kept, so it was always with him and his friends, and he controlled the situation all the time, down to telling me how he liked my hair and when he didn't like my hair. And, you know, sometimes in the moment, you don't even realize, like, I didn't realize for a really long time how abusive it actually was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eddie and our relationship was definitely, there was a lot of those undertones. We isolated because he was on drugs, and he was afraid that anyone that knew him would figure it out. And because I didn't at first, like, it took me years to realize he was on drugs. But I worked 60, 70 hours, and he worked. And when I was home, he typically wasn't, and he would stay pretty sober while I was there. So, relatively.
Yeah.
So I didn't know.
This guy and I call him the creeper. That we have names for them, which is funny because I started seeing memes about they will name you. It's true, we do name you. And his is creeper. He was a severe alcoholic too, and so he was like, I drank a lot, so I would get off of work and drink. Until we went to bed, we walked. I mean, everywhere we went, we took liquor with us in some way. But he got so bad that he was buying it and hiding the bottles from me so that I wouldn't realize how much he was drinking throughout the day, because the bottle in the freezer didn't move much, right? What I was drinking didn't move much. Lots of drugs at different times, different things.
Yeah, you
When I
don't
look back
realize.
at it, I'm like, oh my gosh. All in I thought that is what I deserved, because I just wanted someone to see all of me and to accept all my messy parts. And I would be more than willing to accept their messy parts to my detriment, right? Because I was a single mom, and
Yeah.
he was 7 years younger than me, and like someone willing to ride or die, as
Yeah. It's so, and looking back, that whole time, I came out of, I was in the house with the girls, and it was crazy. It was the party house, and, and then to go to that security, and that when I was with Eddie, I was the most secure in my family. Like, really, I had a nice house. I had a nice, we had a nice, on the outside, everything looked really good. I got a job that, I had a job that I was making decent money. I was, I couldn't really do anything, but I was, my bills were paid. Everything was paid. Everything was okay. I was on auto pay. I laugh now. I'm like, I barely have bills, guys. One of the things I did to get ready to be on the road was to, she had the, one of the things that we did to get on the road was get rid of all the bills and get rid of all the debt. So
Yeah.
that was a big deal. But at that time, I was on auto pay. Everything was auto pay. I lived an auto pay life, and I'm like, I need to get back to auto pay life. Well, now I don't have bills to auto pay.
Right.
All the bills I have are on auto pay. I'm like, oh yeah.
So what
So
causes us
just
to
things like that,
feel like
you
we
know.
deserve this? Because we attract
And
relationships. We attract relationships we think we deserve, right? On some level.
I think that being unbalanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being unbalanced. I think being having that unworthiness factor going on.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. As I said, I'm literally working in the chakra right now. One of the things that came up is that I don't feel like I'm worthy for a relationship because I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
And so therefore some of my worth, I realize some of my worth is showing up as my bank account. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And, you know, and when you get to look at it, unpack it, and start going, okay, where does that come from?
Yeah.
It's
And it's interesting
that's the
because
work.
I've had that same feeling for a long time. I've had that same thought with my health as well, right? Um,
Hmm.
like who, I have those thoughts of like, who's going to take on all of this?
Yeah.
Because physically I have a lot
Yeah.
going on right now as well, you know what I mean? But I've thought of that too. And part of that stems from that I was always the one that made the money in relationships. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
about my fuck buddies. I'm talking about like
Right.
when I was in actual relationships and seeing someone. I usually I always have. I've always made more money.
Yeah. You
Um
know, and it's
and so like now I'm like, I
same with
want
me.
someone that makes a lot of please make a lot more money than me.
So that came up because I was in one of my Facebook groups, and he said, I'm single. It was on a thing about a conversation about relationship. And this group has been very interesting in our conversations. We've had like some really good ones lately. And he said, I'm in California. I have my own house. I have a six-figure job. I'm relatively healthy and, and in shape. And, I could use somebody to kick my ass in the gym a little bit more. But, I'm relatively attractive and I'm single, and basically saying, no, it, why am I single kind of
Right,
thing.
what's wrong with me? Right.
And what's wrong with me? And it hit me that, oh, well, I couldn't even like approach him because I don't have enough money.
Oh, see,
And I was
right.
like,
So your first thought was right.
right in that moment was, I don't make enough money to even like think about a
Right. Well,
relationship.
because the other side of that, and I want to kind of bring that up because we one of the things I want to go over what gets us out of balance to begin with, because when you hear how it happens, and of course if you have ever been physically or emotionally abused, especially if it started as a young child, right? Um, that will make a difference. Or if you had an emotionally cold or narcissistic parent, because you start looking into other people to gain your worth, right? One of the biggest
Right.
things, though, is adopting unhealthy societal beliefs surrounding love. We have such an unrealistic idea of what relationships should be and how they should work, and even down to sex. Like now, porn is so readily available that it gives an unrealistic expectation of what sex looks like for people. Um, and romance,
Oh, we
like
had that
romance
discussion this week
novels,
too.
and huh?
We had that
I mean,
discussion
I'm
this
not
week
saying you
too.
can't spice your life up. I like a good porn.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but then again, I was with like Creeper who had a porn addiction, and then for
Mhm.
him, it became he had a very unrealistic expectation of what sex looked like or what it should be all the time. And, you know, it gave
And it
him a very
also,
unrealistic expectation of that.
yeah, and it's one of the ways we know
Yeah.
is porn. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but that whole, it releases so much dopamine. I mean, like really, you're getting tons of dopamine, and then as you're
And
stimulating yourself,
endorphins and feel goods. Yeah.
all the things, all the feel goods start happening,
Right.
and it's a great little rush. And then you're looking at, hell, mine right now is Twitter. My porn feed is Twitter, where you can literally find anything you can possibly think of in like
I can't even
3-minute
tell you
clips.
porn.
Today?
I think it's different
Earlier?
for women than men. Not that like I said, not that
Yeah.
I don't enjoy a good one, but like there's so much bad porn out there that like I don't want to have to go through all of it, all that it takes to find good porn, and so I just don't. But it's funny, it's funny that you said you get all those endorphins and dopamine and stuff like that. I actually saw a meme recently, and it said, "Are you masturbating because you're horny or because you want the dopamine hit?" Right?
Right.
And I was like, I feel a little
Well, it's one of the things. I think I said this in a training once. For unusual ways to get motivated, like because we were talking about procrastination, and one of them is the mash band do 10 jumping jacks.
because it
And
releases
then
all the
because
endorphins and gets everything
and then you
moving.
can, yep.
I can
And
do
then
that. My boobs are too heavy
so
for me to do jumping jacks, but
same idea. Whatever it is that could, it's
I
the
know.
jumping. Believe it or not, it is the up and down movement though. So you might
Yeah.
just want to hold them because it is that excitement thing. Yeah.
Right.
Tony Robbins does one where you reach up. It's part of his priming stuff. There's a lot of research
Up and
about
down.
that moment that pulls that endorphin to you.
Well, yeah, that's why when you see super religious people, they open their arms up, right, and they put their hands up, and they kind of create a funnel. It's actually it's a connection to source. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
literally
definitely.
inviting the funnel to come to you. We also have to be open to receiving, right? So sometimes we get hurt and then we close that shit off. And we don't want anything in, and we go into victim or martyr mode. Those are my favorite.
Oh, yay.
Right?
No
No
the
one's
dance
gonna
from
love
distress.
me. I don't, I'm going to and I've been there where I'm like, okay, like I haven't been with someone and I was just talking about this with someone else. It's been like 4.5 years or so, probably a little bit longer than that. And at first it started out I just don't want any more meaningless anything. I don't, I really want that connection. And then it turned into even more than that, like even more along those lines of
Yeah.
like now not that I couldn't go have some meaningless hookups, it's real,
You've gotten offers.
I have,
I know you've gotten offers.
I've gotten a few.
Mm-hmm.
It would not be hard.
It would not be hard. As a matter of fact, since I've been on this call, someone messaged me, so I could hear.
Ways that a
This is
blocked heart chakra
a
shows up is social anxiety, not wanting to connect with other people, isolation.
isolation. Yay.
right? Because we're not open
Yay! Are
to
you gonna hit
receiving anything.
not open to receive?
Yeah, because you're not open to
How many of
receive.
how many of how many of my triggers are you gonna call out today? No, I'm kidding. Um,
I have a hard time receiving. Part of it is because um it's been thrown back at my face several times, right? Where someone has
hmm
done something and they then later on down the road go, um,
Well, I
well,
did this
remember
and
all
this and
those
this.
things I did for you? How could you do this to me? Even things that they offered to do for me that I didn't ask, right? So just
My
even in
mechan-
receiving what they offered, I've actually lost friendships over that.
hmm my mechanic comes to
Yeah,
mind. I let you live here for 5 months. Well, I wouldn't have lived there for 5 months if you would fix my shit.
right.
Like that was the whole big deal. You didn't fix it, and then you know, and then something else was wrong with it, and then it was and then because
Yeah,
you didn't get the right engine. So now I have to go and deal with all this bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit,
yeah,
but it's okay. And then I have others. I have others. Even my
yeah,
dad, the one, the day that I found out I wasn't gonna be able to leave when I was trying to, my dad goes, "Well, how long are you gonna be here?"
right.
Like, so basically, kick me out. I'm like, as long as it takes. Like, basically what I end up telling them. But it was just like, my brother's lived with you his whole life. I'm literally in your driveway. I'm not even in the house. I come in and take a shower and wipe your ass. Like, you
Right.
don't get to say that to me.
Yeah.
You know,
But developing those healthy relationships and personal boundaries is one of the super important things to do, especially as healers and empaths. And empath, that word keeps getting thrown around a lot of, there's a lot of people claiming to be empaths that are not empaths, by the way. Um, be leery. I just want to throw that out there. But there's a difference between being able to be empathetic to people and being a true empath.
yeah. Um, and some of us don't like to admit when we are. So
There's
it's
that
okay
part.
too.
There's
There's
that
that
part.
part. I, Heather and I have this discussion at least once a week on how I'm around all these powerful people, powerful psychics and witches, and people that may or may not be deities, um, in real life. But I never feel like I'm uh, on that level, and so it's always interesting when someone calls me out on something. Um, Amber did last night, I think, or the night before. That you know, she said something. She goes, "How the hell did you know that?" I'm like, "I just did."
I just know
So
things
full.
sometimes.
I just know things because I know
Yeah.
things. But yeah, and it's when your heart chakra is closed and damaged, and not damaged because it's never damaged, but when it's blocked, and it's hard to receive that love. It's hard to show love because you get so focused in the muck, in the
Well,
muck.
yeah, because you're replaying traumas,
hmm
right? So that's one that keeps it blocked is you keep replaying those traumas, you hold the grudge to that person. That's where the forgiveness comes in, not only of that person, but of yourself. Because the key to
Yeah.
having an open heart chakra is really to love yourself unconditionally. We talk about loving other people unconditionally. I don't believe that you could do that. I don't believe that loving other people unconditionally is a thing. And that's probably going to be controversial. And someone's going to come at me and go, "Well, I love my kids unconditionally." Um, but okay, no, maybe, but loving yourself unconditionally. But I think we get caught because for so many years I was like, I love unconditionally. And that idea of you love through thick and thin, good and bad, right? But that gets distorted because that loving unconditionally, what happens when that person does something unspeakable? Then do you love them unconditionally? No, there's a condition to it. There is a condition to it. I know, because I snatched some of my unconditional love back real quick when they hit a limit that was not, and I will tolerate a lot of shit. Let me say, like,
Right.
I will love you through a lot of things. But we all have conditions on what are deal breakers, what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. And being with someone for the sake of being with someone and saying that you're with them because they love you, even though it's toxic and nasty and abusive back and forth. I've known relationships that were like that, where it flopped back and forth in the abuse, where at the beginning he was the abuser, and then towards the end of the relationship, she was more of the abuser. And and when she came to me about that, I said, "What did he do to push you to the place where you defended yourself? Like, how far did it have to go before you actually did something? Because I know you, and he had to have really put you in a position for you to fight back, you know? And again, that works both ways, but, you know.
Yeah. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to have that kind of boundary with people sometimes,
Yep.
especially if you really care about them. Um, what comes up to me is my mom. Um, I took care of her for 5 years. She's my mom.
Right.
I took care of her for 5 years,
Yep.
but I had no boundaries either. And so I just, and because I am single and I don't have kids, and I can, so I can move my whole life around having my mother, and it was like having a kid.
Right.
I didn't need babysitters, but pretty close sometimes in that journey in those 5 years.
Right.
So my life stopped being mine. And when I realized that my life is no longer mine, and I was no longer the main character, it was always what where's mom at? What's mom doing? What's this? You know. And then she apologizes to me. I did a video the other day where I talked about some of the stuff because it leads me into the going on the road. And she apologizes to me. I'm like, that's not the point. The point
But it's
was
it's
we had to
nice
set
that
some
she did
boundary.
apologize, and, when I took care of my mom, it was a thankless job, and I wouldn't change a moment of it. I wouldn't change anything that I did, I don't, because, to be honest, at the end of the day, I think it's an honor to be able to take care of your parents
Yeah,
when they can't take care of themselves because they took care of me
right.
when I could. You know what I mean? So as far as that goes, but it still is difficult, it's still impacted so many things. And so that's something with I think that's part of, my parents' relationship distorted what I thought relationships should be as well,
Hmm.
right? And at the end of my dad's life, he said he didn't fight because he didn't want me to sacrifice more of my life to take care of him, the way that I sacrificed so much to take care of my mom.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks because you took away those choices too.
Yeah. And
You
then
know.
sometimes you take care of people who don't want the help,
Hmm.
even when they claim that they want it, right?
Yeah. It's it's a challenge, and it's a challenge to find those healthy boundaries. It's a challenge to create them. Um,
Yeah.
one of the great things with my mom, we had a conversation, and I said to her, "Are you living or dying?" So I
Yeah.
need, and either way, she's in a lot of pain. She's still in a lot of pain. There's, she still has things wrong. It's not like she
Right.
is healthy, by any means. But we got her to a point where she can live by herself. She's not falling on the floor. Well, she wasn't falling on the floor until recently.
Right.
But now she has a caregiver, a full-time caregiver. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a different. It was a whole different thing, and it was because we couldn't. It's like I can't go back to that. And yes, I want to know, but I can't live my life on hold for everyone else to decide what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even so, being alone is a huge one for this, right? Of like being fearful of being alone is a huge sign. And we talk about toxic bonds, or trauma bonds with people, and trauma bonds with, we can have trauma bonds with our children as well. And, trauma bonds with our parents, and being able to set those boundaries of, I'm not going to take care of anyone else but myself. When you've been a caregiver for so long, right? That one of the best things my daughter could have done was leave the way that she did. As horrible and traumatic as it was probably one of the best things that she could ever do, because there was this huge fear of being alone, and we were codependent on each other, and we had a trauma bond. We had been through so much together for so long that imagining life without her was scary, and we end up in those type of relationships. It might not be with your kid, it could be with someone else. And we talk about living with the devil that is better than the devil you don't know. My parents taught me that staying in a toxic relationship was what you should do, regardless if you have, like my dad stayed for us kids. And then my mom got so sick that it would have been shitty for him to leave, and that just taught me that no matter what happened, no matter how many times they cheated, no matter what, that you should just stay with them. That is not a good example.
No.
And even when she wasn't cheating, he was accusing her of cheating, right? So even when that didn't happen, when it wasn't happening anymore, it was always there, right? It was always a part of it. So I always said to all the men that I ever was with, don't leave your wife for me, because I will not be with you. Like, the grass is not greener, for one. And two, I will never trust you. I will never it will always be in the back of my head that how did we get here? Then that's what's going to happen.
If you cheat with me, you will cheat on me.
Yeah. I had some really good friends that were like that, where that's how they got together, was, an affair. And they were together for like 17 years. And every time they got in a fight, that's the first thing he would go to. That was the first thing that he would say.
Because
that's what you're thinking about.
That's what you're thinking about. And you might be thinking about doing it, and you might be doing it.
I always said, if I ever get to the point where, I said that with my ex-husband, if I ever get to the point where I'm thinking about cheating on you, then we shouldn't be together, because now I'm to the point where I'm looking elsewhere. And when I got to that point where I was nothing was changing in the relationship, and I wasn't, satisfied, because things were not changing, and I started looking elsewhere, I said, okay, it's time for us to not be together.
Yeah. With Eddie and I stayed way longer than I should have. We didn't have sex for 5 years.
Right.
So, I mean, and that does a lot to a lot. And being in a sexless marriage like that, because that's basically what we were. We were married. It really does mess up everything. your value, your worth, your feelings of intimacy, your all of it.
Yeah, that'll mess you
So I
up all the
spent
way, right, all across the
yeah,
board.
all across the board. So I got to play with those emotions and heal those emotions and
Yeah,
uh, deal with um, a lot of that trauma. And I didn't cheat the whole time we were together. So,
right.
um, and I will never go back to a monogamous relationship, probably because of it. I will have some kind of parameters around it, but it probably will never be monogamous again.
I definitely am a monogamous creature. I've had, I wouldn't say open. I mean, there was always rules. There has to be
Mhm.
boundaries and rules if you're going to do that. You know,
Right.
you know, um, and even when I tried that, the rules were not followed. You know what I mean? And so then it was like, well, what's the point in that?
Hmm.
Because if you can't, if you can't follow
Can't
the
do the
rules,
simple rules. Right. Then why are you here?
yeah.
Um,
And
my
can I just say, I really like you can't cheat on a psychic. We know. We know. When Creeper was like when we split up, he was cheating on me. And I kept telling him, you guys are horrible at this. Like you guys are not good at this. Just go
right.
be with her. Like it's cool, dude. Just go be with her. Because this is ridiculous, And no, 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 blah, blah, blah. Why would I leave all this? Look at everything we have. Look at, like you're me. Why would I don't know why, dude. I told you, bring them home. Like, let's have a good time. But that's not what you're doing. So, like, you brag to your buddies about that. Like, I brought women home and I actively
Right.
like brought women home. So it was not like,
Hmm.
it was one of the things that we talked about, and then I backed out when, like, no, it wasn't like I was
No.
down for it, but you know, don't bitches
If
cannot be texting you in the middle of the night, fucking talking to you. Like you should respect our relationship. That was the biggest thing.
if if my first husband would have brought the guy that he cheated on me at our reception into our bed, we would probably still be together.
Oh, there you go.
But he took he left my bed and went
Why?
in and did things with the really hot guy. I mean, the guy was
I had
ridiculously
a guy
hot
leave
and
me for another chick because she would let him go fuck whoever he wanted. And my rule was that it had to be people that he didn't know, and he wasn't giving his information to them. Like, cool, we
hmm
can, or bring them home. But there's
right,
no, but he had hooked up with this chick before, and I go, no, she wants to fuck you. And she's okay with me being there, but it's whatever reason to fuck you again. Like, no, that's
right.
where it's not okay, you know.
Yeah,
But
it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And so, what are some of the ways that we can open up this chakra and heal some of that?
forgive yourself. I know that's the hardest, to make room for it. We tend to want to pack it with us, hide it away, make room for it. It happened. It's part of who you are. It taught you lessons so that you just don't repeat it next time.
One of the exercises I really like, you get really still and you hold your hand over your heart and you think about the chakra and you bring back a happy memory, like one of those ones that is just ooey gooey and sickeningly cute. And one that comes to me all the time is my dog Teddy. We were at a park, and the dog was. I let him out at this. It was a ball field, and he came running, and just the look of pure joy and happiness on his face was just like everything, right? And then you anchor it in by tapping on your heart a few times. And so what that does is that gives you an access to that feeling whenever you need that access.
Right.
And you have to do it every so often because it goes away. But it's a really great way to kind of get yourself into an open space so that you can start thinking about, healing and
Yeah.
forgiving.
Calling love to you is a great way to do that as well. Like, just opening up to allowing the universe to send you love. It doesn't have to be from anyone or because that's hard to receive love from someone. That comes with conditions, that comes with strings, that's messy, right? But just open up to receiving love from the universe and start saying things you're grateful for. We tend
Yeah.
to look at the negative things to start retraining and creating new neural pathways. You have to start looking at the positive things and the grateful things in your life. And if that is that you have a pillow to lay your head on, like grateful things every single day, different things, no matter how big or small they are, find things that you're grateful for every day.
Yeah, it's about being in that space of gratitude, in that
Yeah.
openness,
Yep.
because it
Go
changes.
earthy.
It's one of the higher vibrations.
Yeah.
Go earthing.
Forest bathing is beautiful. Anything green. We're sporting our green today. I was wearing my green antlers. Anything green is a great way to start to open it up as well and work on it. And forest bathing, go in the forest in the green, put your tootsies in grass if you can find it, and just allow the breath of nature to come to you.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't have horse flies like I do.
Well, yeah,
The horse flies are killing me today. They're like
they're
landing
eating
on
Chad.
my head. They're eating me. They're eating me today. I'm being eaten. So
All right, do you have a card? I have a card. Do you have a
I have a
card?
card.
We
I have
forgot
a
cards
card.
last week.
Oh, it's all good. We had a really good conversation.
I love this.
So what's your card?
This is minus service. I feel good when I can help others. So
Oh,
I
look how
love this
green that is.
because on so many, right? How perfect is that? But remember that when you don't allow people to be of service to you, you're taking that same joy away from them. So that wonderful, great, good feeling. My little Polish mama said this to me one time. Because I had a friend offer me a massage and I was like, oh, and he's like, no, I just want to make you feel better. Like you hurt, come over, get a massage. And she says, that feeling that you get when you help people, when you don't allow them to do it for you, you're denying them that great feeling. And I was
Mhm.
like, ah, oh, it was a really great
That
massage.
hurts.
But I did, I did go
Awesome.
get the massage and it was a really great massage. Right. But allow people to be of service to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I got the Ace of Swords, which is actually really interesting for this because it talks about new actions, right? And when you're balancing your chakras, when you're doing some of this work, sometimes you have to do things that are new. You have to do those
You
things,
have
and you
to.
have to
You
have
have
to
to do
do.
it.
You have to. Um, so having that newness, and don't beat yourself up because you're not great at it. It's new, and just like learning how to walk or ride your bike or even drive, you can't even think about. One of the great things that I did last year was I helped my niece learn how to drive, and it's like things that are just automatic in your head. You have to start thinking about. you know, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this is it, and you know, but what does that? Don't beat yourself up for the newness.
Yeah.
And try all the new things.
I love it. Where can we find you, Jeff?
I am getting ready to release. Ooh, we're gonna do a new workshop. I believe it's gonna be September 10th, but don't hold me to that date. But we are going to do a workshop. It is the No Drama, No Excuses. We're going to finish this last quarter, absolutely strong.
I love it.
And I love it. Just have a really great time with it.
I can't believe there's only a
How about you? I know. And you're just going to leave.
Oracle Wellness across the board. I am doing my daily card pulls Monday through Friday. So you can get your daily dose of Oracle every day. But I'm moving right now. So really, everything is kind of around finishing this baby blanket for my nephew, or this blanket for my nephew's baby because it's ginormous, and getting ready to get out of here.
She wouldn't make me short, guys.
My throat chakra is going crazy right now.
I know we're going to talk about next week.
I have all kinds of new things coming up. So October is going to be
excited for that. Yeah, I will be. I'm here this week. I'm also, if you guys want a card pull, you want to special with me or Heather. Excuse me. Now I'm going to start coughing. Go check out spiritualsexandcandy.com, and you can book a call with either one of us.
Yeah, I'm always open for one-on-ones. Though I'm not really big on social. I have a big presence on social media. I'm always open to do one-on-one readings. So
yeah, I have.
Check us out, spiritualsexandcandy.com. Go get your merch.
Because it's cute. And it's not demure.
It's not demure.
It's not demure.
It is not calm. It is not demure in any way because we are not any of those things in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. We will see you all. Yeah. Yes, baby. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.